Hi there everybody and welcome back to another episode of Prestige Liquids. My name is Andrew and as always it is fantastic to have you here with me again on another whiskey review video. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for joining me along my journey so far, and if you're new to the channel then please make sure you hit the bell notification and the subscription button so that you can stay up to date with all future content. And at the moment I am pretty much putting out the most regular content I have ever put out, and it is some pretty good stuff, I must admit, because I have been able to be doing these awesome sample reviews from the Australian Whisky Advent Calendar. So that's what we're going to be continuing on with today. We are going to be reviewing day 17. So let's see, hopefully this one's going to be good as yesterday. Yesterday we had an absolutely beautiful whiskey, and I'm hoping that today continues that trend. So let's see what we have today. Awesome. All right, cool. So this one is a distillery that I'm very familiar with already. I have reviewed quite a lot of their whiskies so far. This comes from Backwoods Distillery. Backwoods is located in Victoria. So what I will do, since I have reviewed a few of their other whiskies, I have created a playlist of their stuff. So I will definitely be putting a link in the description box down below. Unfortunately, at the moment, I don't have any other information in regards to this particular release. I have tried their batch one rye, but the cool thing about Backwoods is that for every release that they have done so far, they also experiment with a different cask type. So I'm not sure. Well, I can't remember. I should say that I cannot remember what this particular one has been released at. But this is their rye whiskey batch 4. So bottled at 46% ABV, which, as a lot of you are already aware, is my favorite ABV zone. So let's see what we get. And I think at the moment this is actually the first rye whiskey that has come up in this set so far. So it's good to see some versatility in the set. I wasn't sure if something like this would come up, or maybe even some other like we do have some other Australian whiskies that distilleries, I should say, that do rye, but Backwoods is definitely one of them that does it really well. So let's see, and I can't wait to be able to compare this to the batch one. So that might be a live video content in the future. So stay tuned for that. So, all right, let's see, what are we getting on the nose for this so far. So, cheers. Okay, so at the moment, this does not nose like your typical rye whiskey, and that's one thing that I definitely picked up from their batch one. You do not, on the nose anyway, you do not generally get those typical rye notes. So don't go thinking of like a minty menthol style of rye. But I am getting a subtle note of like star anise. There's little bit of like a licorice note coming in, which for me is very interesting because I have not been able to pick up that type of notes on a whiskey before. So now it's starting to open up, and I'm getting things like clove. It's definitely a spicy nose. Touch of cinnamon, a little bit of eucalyptus. I can't really pick up what the cask type might be. Usually Backwoods are using some type of wine cask, or at least a fortified cask. But at the moment I'm not able to determine what that might be. And that has been one really fun thing about doing this tasting set so far, that since I haven't had the like extra information on hand to be able to provide straight away, I've really had to kind of go back into my into my memory and try to piece together like other flavor profiles from other whiskeys that I've had before and pick out like similarities from other types. And I've been very surprised at how much I've been able to pick up. So the old, I guess, palate is starting to kick in and work. But that anise is actually really nice. Actually, this it could be subjective as well, or not so much subjective, but I can't think of the word right now. But at the moment, my mother-in-law, and even though I'm in like a closed off room, so I can't smell the cooking, but I know she is making a fresh pot of pho right now, which is like a very well known Vietnamese soup, and a lot of the spices in that are very similar to what I'm kind of picking up. So things like the star anise, think of also like Thai basil. Oh wow, just thinking of all those other flavors is just really helping to be able to pick up some very interesting notes from this whiskey. That's very interesting. So for those of you who are looking for a whiskey with a hint of fur, this is the one that you really need to go for. So I'm gonna I'm gonna draw a line there. Let's get into the palate and let's see what we get. So cheers. Okay, so the flavor so far again very similar in memory anyway to the batch one rye release. I believe that they did use some type of like heritage species of rye, which I think was like a locally, yeah, like a some type of locally sourced rye. Very dry, even though with a higher ABV, so you're looking at 46%. It's a very light mouthfeel, but at the same time, it's quite syrupy. But again, a very soft and easygoing whiskey. Lots of oak, nice gentle barrel char. I'm also getting black tea. It definitely has like a lot of like a bitter tea note to it. But what's that cask type? I'm I'm thinking Shiraz, but I could be wrong. I'm definitely picking up some type of red wine cask, but it could be something different. For now, I'll go with Shiraz, but just to make sure, definitely check down below in the description box down, and the correct information will be there. On the palate, I would have to say that there's not as much going on with the flavor profile as what I was getting on the nose. On the nose, you're definitely able to pick out a lot more, say a lot more different notes where uh, the palate features more dominant things. So, like I said, there's that tea, there's the rye, I guess whatever rye that they've used. You're definitely going to be able to pick up the rye notes that are very similar to the batch one release. um, White pepper again, and I do know that Brie and Lee from Backwoods, they do love a good French oak cask. So again, I will assume that this is most likely a French oak cask that's being used. So again, you can expect a lot of that, the white pepper. I'm also getting quite a bit of vanilla and caramel as well towards the back end of the palate. The vanilla and caramel definitely start to shine through, which is really nice to see, that it's not, the flavor profile isn't completely dominated by the rye and the cask, like typical cask notes by itself. You are getting some subtle other notes, other subtle notes that are coming through. Sorry, I'm getting a bit tongue tied at the moment. Okay, so I'm also getting hints of tobacco, leather, definitely some dark chocolate, and a little bit of a green, yeah, a little bit of a green apple. It has that like sour green apple note to it. Um, Again, the finish is pretty much the same kind of flavor profile that you're getting from the palate as well. So all those typical, those same notes coming through. Just trying to think if there's something different, but actually, yes, there is something different. Now I'm starting to get more like grape skins and like grape a sweetness from like a juicy, from a nice juicy grape. So I will again assume that this is some type of X wine cask that has been used just to help get that grape, and also now also starting to change into like a raspberry profile as well. So this is definitely a very versatile whiskey. There's a lot going on. I wish I was able to have a full size bottle at the moment, but I think this is one that I will definitely keep an eye out for. The one good thing about Backwoods whiskies is that even when they sell out on their site, they do pop up in random places, so you are able to generally find them pretty easily if you know where to look. So luckily, I know where to look, and I think I'm going to be chasing up some websites soon. So I think that's all I really have to say about this one at the moment. I'm going to leave it at that. Again, if you have not yet done so, please subscribe to the channel. You'll be helping my channel grow a lot, and you'll also be helping to spread some awareness about many of these absolutely fantastic Australian distilleries. Everybody needs to know about them. So the more you subscribe, the more you watch, the more you get to find out and discover along with me as well. So yeah, my name is Andrew, and I'll see you all again on the next video. KIPPIS.